Huge River and movie fanatic Nate reporting from the, I was going to say the Coolawasi River, but from the St. Croix River. No, this isn't the Nate River, I'm afraid. This is the St. Croix. Beautiful St. Croix on a beautiful June day in 2014. Coming at you to review a movie that I just bought, I think within the last week for $2 on DVD, half price books. Wow, we got some falls or something over there. Clearance movie bin, not bin, I keep saying bin, it's like a rack, rolly racks, cart, whatever. And it was like the cast, it was like Keanu Reeves. I don't think I necessarily ever heard of it. I'm like Crispin Glover, Dennis Hopper. I'm here to review River's Edge. I don't know if it's the River's Edge or just River's Edge, but at any rate, it's River's Edge. And then I was like, oh, cool. Then I can review it at the river. So that's what I'm doing. I wasn't necessarily blown away when I was watching it, but afterwards, I was like, I was thinking about the movie, and I was like, you know what? It's kind of cool. Basically, the movie is about. It starts off almost like it feels like a Coen Brothers movie, kind of when it starts off, and I think it's like right around the same time that Stand By Me came out, if not the same year, '86. Very close to the same year, if it's not the same year. And somewhat about the same thing, you know. It starts off with this guy having just killed this girl, and there's this kid who I know from class of 1999 who basically is just a younger version. He plays basically the same character, just this young punk, you know, delinquent, juvenile, bastard kid. I mean, not bastard in the sense of like, I just picked a name to call him. But in retrospect, you know, I might have to watch this again soon. In retrospect, having thought about it after seeing it, I was like, you know, I kind of like it because movies are always so, I don't know, they create a world that is so specific usually, and like a point of view that is so specific. And that's one thing I don't really like about the majority of movies that creates that, because something like a world in a viewpoint that's so specific, because that's not how life is, or at least that's not how I perceive life to be. I perceive it to be a little more like, okay, here we are, and regardless, you know, I'm not blinded. My vision and my, you know, worldview isn't clouded by any religious, you know, any religious philosophies or quote unquote, you know, man-made morals and all this stuff, the societal thread that the people who pull the strings rule by. And it's kind of fitting that, you know, I'm talking about this out on the river, because out on the river is where I can really, it's like a reinforcement of my worldview or my stance on life, which is, you know, when I'm out in a situation like this or an environment like this, it backs up my point, which is really there is nothing other than your perception. There's no right, there's no wrong. You know, there may be religious codes or even, you know, societal codes and man-made laws and man-made religion that say there's this ever existing set of rules, but don't kid yourself, it's all bullshit. So what I'm getting at is this movie is very interesting in the sense that it follows a group of people, mostly like high school kids and younger, and this older guy, who Dennis Hopper plays. It follows this group of people who really, none of them have what you would consider, excuse me, I guess any sense of, none of them are like grounded in, they're all like, you know, I don't know, just like metalheads and punk rockers and metalheads and stuff, and none of the characters in this movie are necessarily grounded in a way that's like, none of them are necessarily tied to any moral code or anything. They're all just reacting. And having thought about it after I watched it, I'm like, that's really cool. It's very rare that I see a movie where it's kind of like anything goes. Like all these characters are like oblivious and not really bound by any set of rules in the movie. And they're just, the whole movie kicks off with one of their friends, I don't think we even know why, just kills this girl that they were all friends with, leaves her by the river's edge. And, you know, for the first half, or the first part of the movie is all about, and then he goes back to his friends and like brags about it. He's got like, I don't know, he's just a pretty much like no feelings really kind of a guy. And he's just like, oh, I killed her. I'm like, yeah, right. And then he brings him some of the friends back and like, oh man, you really did. And it's just like, I don't know, it's this really cool tale about, and then they're really, none of them are really affected by it. It's like, doesn't sink in. And it's just like Keanu Reeves eventually, I think, is the one who calls the cops. And then Crispin Glover like goes in at night and pushes the body in the river, but it ends up just getting caught somewhere downstream up on against a tree or whatever. And then the person, the adult, like the only adult, well, I guess then there's Keanu Reeves' mom, who is like a single mom with Leo Rossi, whom I know from like Halloween 2 and Maniac Cop 2. Is that him? Yeah, I think that's him in Maniac Cop 2, right? Is like the boyfriend of this mom, single mom, and Keanu Reeves and that kid from Class of 1999 are brothers. And I guess what I like about the movie, having thought about it later, is that the whole movie is full of nothing but misfits. And that's what I mean by it not having any sense of like, where normally a movie is kind of grounded by a sense of whatever, just quote-unquote moral whatever, you know, if you have a war movie or pro-American movie or pro-something, a movie always takes a stance. And what I love about this movie, actually, in retrospect, is that it just plops you in the middle of, you just become one of these people who they just, all of a sudden, one of their friends kills one of their friends, and it's like, the whole movie is basically about how they react or don't react to it, and what they do or don't do about it. God, a duckling and a little baby is just like, go shooting off when they see the first sign of huge movie fanatic, Nate. So in retrospect, we'll give it 3 stars. When you're watching it, I mean, there's really, you're kind of like, what am I watching? But I'm gonna probably watch it again, maybe fairly recently, because it's like, the scenes are kind of cool in the sense that they're really, it's such a random movie, and I actually really respect movies like this more so than the average, you know, beginning, middle, end. Just we have a point and we have a you know, something we have to accomplish, and okay, let's go for it. And obviously, you know, they're going to accomplish it. I don't really. Those movies are boring because there's really nothing to it. This is a movie that, like, you know, every moment that exists is a moment that's just like, it's just you never know what's going to come next, and it's just a random. That's a really good word to explain this movie. It's just this random movie that just exists, and obviously it's a perfect vehicle for Crispin Glover, who had just, I think, obviously come off of success in Back to the Future. I don't know if this is his first movies after Back to the Future or not, but he's probably at this time when he's making this movie feeling like, yeah, final chapter, Back to the Future, I'm doing good, you know. So, you know, River's Edge or The River's Edge, whatever, we'll give it 3 stars. It's just one of these cool movies with just these characters that are a little off, but in a way that it's kind of like, yeah, man. You know, they're all just delinquents, and like I say, I can't stress enough how, I gotta show you this dock thing, it just reminds you of Swamp Thing. I can't stress enough how random this movie is. And just like, what the hell is going on? But in a good way for me. So 3 stars for The River's Edge, or River's Edge, whatever. Features a Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure Keanu Reeves, and post final chapter Crispin Glover. Look at the green growth on this dock. It's like Swamp Thing. You make my heart sing. You make everything sing. It just looks like Arcane was here and just made all that green growth on the dock. So River's Edge, check it out if you can find a DVD for $2 at your half-price books. I gotta tell you, I've said it before, I'm gonna say it again, I'm loving this half-price books $2 clearance DVDs. I'm loving it, you know. Absolutely loving it. And what's great for me, I mean, I think DVDs, you know, for the most part look fine up converted on the TV, you know. I'm currently trying to find a way around this spot. I think I'm gonna have to go around this way. So maybe I'll just exist with you guys for a little bit. Oh, there's a turtle over there. Since the video's not really that long, you can either stop watching, or that's pretty much the end of the review, or you can just be with me in this moment as I traverse the river. Traverse the river's edge. So if I go this way, oh, it's no way through. When the river's high, the current is not very, oh my stars, not very strong, so it's easy to traverse. I'm gonna ground it up on this log. I'm gonna persevere. Kind of have to go out of this cool area to get around so I can go back in it. River's Edge. If you're still watching, thank you for sticking with me and enjoying this beautiful scenery and sounds of just nature. You know, animals thrive without paying rent or property tax or home insurance or health insurance or car insurance, without religion, without a job. and animals get by just fine. I don't know why humans think they need all that shit. As the generations continue, humanity is being mentally decimated. And it happens so slow that as each generation arrives, they're born into an existence which they just obviously think is normal, which is not. It's not the way it always was, and it's not the way it should be in relation to just having to not having any prospect of any kind of decent job, or just existing is so much of a pain in the ass. And when I'm on the river and I see animals thriving, I look at them and I go, you know, they don't spend 1 minute, 1 second of their life, none of them, at a job, at a minimum wage paying shit job, being treated like shit. You know, their only concern is, they actually have less concerns than we do, us quote-unquote civilized humans. Their only concern is survival, which we have as well, humans, and protecting their young, and eating. Like 3, you know, if I missed one, I apologize, but as far as I can tell, 3 basic concerns that pretty much animals have. And, you know, how many concerns do humans have? They just, you know, keep going up. In addition to the 3 that the animals have, we got job security and, you know, social status and physical appearance and all this bullshit that society, you know, the system is telling us we need to worry about, we need to be concerned about. You can take a flying leap about that shit. In my opinion, the average person is too caught up in quote-unquote culture or civilization to, you know, they're gone, and you can never show them. You know, for me, this environment is what helps to ground me. And this is just like the guy in Swamp Thing who's like, you know, the guy who ends up being Swamp Thing, if you've seen my Swamp Thing review. This is it. This is the best place that I can think of where I want to be at any given time in my life. I'm at, and it gives me so much energy. You know, it's like the energy, it just gives me energy as I sit in it, positive energy. And I greatly envy the critters who get to just spend their entire lives in it and never 1 moment at a job. So maybe it's been going on for long enough, and if you're still with me, wow, thank you very much. I appreciate that for my little lecture in whatever, my opinion about, and obviously all this is not written in stone, it's my opinion, because my whole point is nothing is written in stone. That's the whole point, is that, you know, anything that anyone says is subject to scrutiny, and never, don't you ever forget that. So thank you very much for watching my River's Edge review / lecture about whatever, my worldview or my opinions on whatever, and catch you next time.